Ever wondered if the world you see, with all its solidness and challenges, is truly as real as it appears? Or maybe if there's a more direct path to deep wisdom without getting totally lost in ancient texts?
That's a huge question, isn't it? And it's exactly the kind of fundamental thing we're aiming to, well, unpack in our deep dive today.
Absolutely. So today we're taking a deep dive into excerpts from the Supreme Yoga Vasistha. And this isn't just any ancient Indian scripture. It's really quite profound. The edition we're looking at is a translation by Swami Venkatesananda, published by Motilal Banarsidass.
Right, and it's actually dedicated to Gurudev Swami Sivananda. His constant refrain apparently was, in all conditions, I am knowledge bliss absolute.
Which is quite a statement in itself.
It really is. And our mission here is basically to pull out the most important insights from this incredibly rich source. We want to help you make sense of some complex philosophical ideas, about reality, the self, liberation, and make them engaging, maybe even useful.
Yeah, to see what this ancient wisdom says about how we perceive the world and, crucially, how we might find true freedom from suffering.
Exactly.
So just to start, for someone who hasn't encountered this text, how would you describe the Supreme Yoga Vasistha? What makes it unique?
Well, what's really interesting is that it's not some dry academic thing. It's presented mostly as this really dynamic conversation, a dialogue between the sage Vasistha and the young Prince Rama.
Ah, okay. Like a philosophical discussion.
Yeah, but it's more than just philosophy. It weaves in practical mysticism, It's designed to actually guide the seeker on a path.
A conversation that, according to the text itself, is considered the greatest help to the spiritual awakening and direct experience of the truth. That's quite a claim.
It is, and its philosophy lines up pretty closely with traditions like Kashmir Shaivism. The core idea there is that, well, everything is consciousness, even the material world.
Everything, including, like, this table, this microphone.
According to this view, yes. The world is as you see it. This is absolutely true. The world is nothing but the play of consciousness. It's a non-dual perspective.
Meaning no fundamental split between me, the observer, and the world I'm observing.
Exactly, or between mind and matter. If everything is consciousness, then our subjective experience isn't just part of reality. In a way, it is reality.
And who is this for? Just scholars,
Yeah.
yogis.
No, and that's important. The source specifically says it's for ordinary people seeking deep spiritual understanding and liberation, what they call siddha. It's meant for anyone who's genuinely seeking freedom.
Okay, so if that's the aim, the very first big idea it tackles is, well, it's pretty mind-bending. The idea that reality is illusory. What does Vasistha actually say about that?
It's pretty radical, yeah. Vasistha's central claim is, and this is a direct quote, this world appearance is a confusion. Even as the blueness of the sky is an optical illusion, I think it is better not to let the mind dwell on it, but to ignore it.
Ignore it. Like, just pretend the world isn't there.
Well, maybe not ignore it in a practical sense, but ignore its claim to be fundamentally real and solid. He's saying the physical world we perceive isn't real in the way we assume it is. The text keeps calling it an error, a mirage, even a dream.
Okay, so like the blue sky example. It's not really blue, that's just light scattering, how our eyes and brain interpret it.
Right.
So the world's solidity is what? How our mind interprets something else.
That's pretty much the idea. It leads straight to this core teaching.
Yeah.
The mind alone is the cause of the world, and ultimately the world is nothing but Brahman, the absolute, the ultimate reality, consciousness.
Wow. So it's not saying the world doesn't exist at all.
Not necessarily, more that our experience of it as solid, separate, external is fundamentally constructed by our own consciousness. If the mind creates the world we experience, think about what that implies for suffering, for happiness.
It implies our internal state is maybe shaping our reality much more than we think.
Exactly. It's a huge invitation to look at our own mental constructs, isn't it? Not just abstract philosophy.
And the story that really drives this home, that makes it less abstract, is the one about King Lavana. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, King Lavana's story is fantastic for illustrating this. Basically, through some kind of magical illusion or intense dream, he lives an entire, long, and really miserable lifetime.
In just a moment.
In what turns out to be just a few moments of clock time, he becomes an outcast, suffers extreme poverty, loses loved ones, lives this whole difficult life, grows old, and then suddenly, poof, he wakes up.
Back in his palace.
Back in his palace, still young, unharmed. The whole lifetime of suffering was contained within that brief mental experience.
That's dizzying, isn't it? That the mind can create something so vivid, so emotionally real, so seemingly solid, all internally.
It really underscores the point, doesn't it? If that kind of detailed, long-seeming reality can be generated by the mind in a dream, what's to say our waking life isn't a similar, maybe just more complex construct of consciousness?
It definitely forces you to question things. Okay, so if the world is, in this sense, a mental construct, what about our actions? Are we just playing out a script? Or does what we do actually matter?
Yes. This brings us to a really central debate in the text. Does liberation come from fate, past karma predetermining everything, or does it come from conscious self-effort? Purushartha.
And where does Vasistha land on that?
He's incredibly clear and quite forceful about it. He says self-effort is superior to fate. No ambiguity there.
Superior to fate, how does he put it?
He says one should take recourse to self-effort, grinding one's teeth, and one should overcome evil by good and fate by present effort.
Grinding one's teeth. I love that phrase. It sounds so active, so determined. It's not just hoping things work out.
Exactly. It's about taking charge. And get this, the text even suggests that fate is nothing other than self-effort of past incarnations.
Oh, interesting. So fate isn't some external force. It's just the result of our past efforts, our past choices.
That's the implication. It means it's a continuous cycle of conscious choice. Your past choices created your present situation, your fate, but your present choices, your present self-effort, are actively shaping your future. You're not locked in.
So it's not either knowledge or effort.
Right. Another sage in the text, Agastya, says knowledge and self-effort are like two wings. You need both to fly, to achieve liberation.
Okay, but what kind of self-effort is just trying really hard enough?
Good question. The text makes a crucial distinction here between pure self-effort and impure self-effort.
What's the difference?
Impure self-effort is driven by craving, right? Chasing external things, status, pleasure, trying to avoid pain. It's still rooted in the ego and desire.
Okay. And pure self-effort.
Pure self-effort comes from an inner pure mind. It's motivated by a genuine desire for liberation, for truth, not by adding more desires. It's about purifying your intention, your will. And that's the kind of effort that leads to real freedom.
That distinction feels really practical. It gives you something to actually work with in your own life.
Definitely. It shows how this isn't just high-flown theory.
And speaking of practical application, the Yoga Vasistha actually lays out some specific qualities, like gateways to liberation, right?
Yeah.
4 gatekeepers.
Yes, exactly. 4 key qualities you need to cultivate. The first is self-control. Pretty straightforward, mastering your desires, your impulses, your mind.
Okay, what's next?
The second is the spirit of inquiry, Vikara. This isn't just idle curiosity. It's a continuous, deep questioning of your own assumptions about reality, about who you think you are, about your attachments.
So constantly asking why.
Pretty much. The text actually calls this inquiry the best remedy for the long-lasting illness known as samsara, that cycle of suffering and rebirth, or just repetitive life patterns. It's about digging deep. Why do I believe this? Is it true? What is the self?
That sounds like hard work.
It is. But essential, according to Vasistha, the third gatekeeper is contentment, santosha.
Contentment, does that mean just being passive?
Not really complacency. It's more a state of mind that's free from craving what you don't have and rejecting what you do have. It's described as having a sweetness that destroys all sins, meaning it purifies the mind, finding peace right here, right now.
Instead of always chasing the next thing.
Exactly. And the fourth one is good company, satsanga.
So hanging out with good people.
Kind of, but deeper than that. It means actively seeking out and associating with wise people, those who genuinely support your spiritual journey, who inspire you. It recognizes that our environment, the people around us, really affects our state of mind and progress.
So self-control, inquiry, contentment, and good company. Those are the gateways in. What are the main things keeping us out, according to the text? The big obstacles.
The text points very clearly to egotism, that feeling of I, the sense of being a separate, enduring self. I am Rama, or I am this person with this history and these traits. That's identified as the root of all sorrow, ignorance, and bondage.
The illusion of the separate self.
Yes. And tied right into that is craving. Desire for things to be different, desire for pleasure, aversion to pain. Craving is called the root of endless suffering and the engine that keeps the whole cycle of birth and death, or just dissatisfaction, going.
That really challenges our whole sense of identity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The text deliberately contrasts the physical body, which is obviously transient, mortal, with the eternal nature of what it calls infinite consciousness, or Brahman.
And our individual soul, the jiva, is that separate?
According to this, no. The jiva isn't seen as fundamentally separate from Brahman. It's described more like a reflected reality, almost like your individual awareness is a reflection of the universal consciousness, appearing individual within the mind, but not truly cut off.
Reflected reality.
Yeah. Your true self, the text insists, is pure, eternal, and beyond change. The fluctuations, the suffering, that belongs to the ego, the mind, the body, not the underlying consciousness.
Okay, these are huge ideas. And the text uses stories to make them more graspable, right? We talked about King Lavana. What about Queen Leela? Her story sounds pretty wild.
Queen Leela's story is amazing. It's a really vivid illustration of the mind's creative power. Through her intense desire and, well, yogic power, she literally creates and experiences multiple, completely distinct worlds.
Like parallel universes.
Kind of, yeah, all generated within her consciousness. She has different husbands, different lives, different challenges in these mental realms. She even interacts with characters like King Vidaratha in these other realities she's created or visited through her mind.
Wow. And these worlds felt completely real to her.
Absolutely real. Her adventures show how these different realities can coexist, intersect, all within the vast space of consciousness. It really stretches your idea of what reality even means.
Definitely makes you wonder about the potential of our own minds. There's another story, too, about Sukha. It sounds a bit different.
Yes, Sukha's story is interesting because he was said to be enlightened, basically, from birth. He already knew the truth, intellectually and intuitively.
So why did he need a story?
Well, despite his inherent wisdom, he still felt the need to seek confirmation and perhaps a deeper integration of that knowledge. So he goes to other great sages, like the famous King Janaka, to have his understanding validated and deepened.
So even if you're already enlightened, the journey continues.
Exactly. It highlights that inquiry is ongoing and the value of having a teacher, a guru, or just wise counsel, satsanga, right?
Yeah.
Never really ends. There are always deeper levels of understanding and embodiment.
Okay, so let's try and pull all this together. For you listening right now, what's the takeaway? How do we connect these dots?
Well, I think the core synthesis is this. The world appears solid and fundamentally real, mainly because of ignorance, because we don't understand its true nature. But if we cultivate true understanding through inquiry and the other gateways, we can start to see it differently, as a manifestation of this infinite consciousness. Precisely. As a dynamic play, not a fixed external prison. And the practical path toward that realization, toward liberation from the suffering caused by ignorance and craving, is clearly laid out.
Right. Cultivating that self-control, keeping up that diligent inquiry into who am I and what is real, finding contentment now, and seeking out that supportive, wise company.
Those are the actionable steps, the gateways the text offers. They're the way to move from just hearing these ideas to actually experiencing a shift in your own perception and freedom.
So we've taken a really fascinating deep dive today into the supreme Yoga Vasistha. We've explored its pretty radical views on the illusory nature of the world, the absolute power of self-effort over destiny, and those key qualities needed for liberation.
It's a lot to chew on, for sure.
Definitely. And it leaves us with a final thought, perhaps a provocative one for you to consider.
If the universe, right, with all its seeming solidity, its challenges, its joys and sorrows, if all of that is ultimately a dynamic, fluid play of consciousness, what new possibilities might that open up?
How might that change how you perceive your own reality, how you interact with it? And maybe, just maybe, how might it change your sense of your own capacity to shape that reality?